Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the notorious face of President Trump's deportation efforts, is now being held by ICE in Baltimore and could face deportation to Uganda, a country he's never been to.
Nos está golpeando duro. No perdamos la fe.
To all the families who have been separated, or to all the families who have been threatened with family separation, this administration has hit us hard.
So he's originally from El Salvador and crossed into the U.S. illegally through the Texas border in 2012. And back in March, ICE deported him to El Salvador, even though a court order from 2019 said he couldn't be removed because he feared gang violence there. So that deportation was later reversed by the Supreme Court, and he was brought back to the U.S. in June. And once he returned, he was charged with human smuggling, charges he denies. His lawyers say those charges are retaliatory for challenging his deportation. Now, for the past 3 days, he was living in Maryland with his U.S. citizen wife and kids, awaiting his federal trial on human smuggling charges in Tennessee for January 2026. A Maryland judge has also ruled that ICE must provide 72 hours notice before attempting to deport him to any country other than El Salvador. However, while reporting to the ICE office, Abrego Garcia was detained by ICE agents where he remains now. His attorney has filed a lawsuit challenging the detention, arguing that it is punitive and unconstitutional, especially since he had complied with all legal requirements. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem celebrated his ICE arrest, writing, "Today, ICE law enforcement arrested Kilmar Abrego Garcia and are processing him for deportation. President Trump is not going to allow this illegal alien who is an MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, serial domestic abuser, and child predator to terrorize American citizens any longer." The deportation led to major backlash, including from members of Congress and immigration advocacy groups. Media reports and legal filings revealed ICE acted despite active legal motions to reopen his case or to halt removal. After weeks of advocacy and legal pressure, Abrego Garcia was flown back to the U.S. by the federal government. This was an extremely rare reversal, essentially an official admission that his deportation was improper. In court filings, he described his time in El Salvador's CCOT prison as extremely harsh and abusive, citing physical abuse, sleep deprivation, overcrowded cells, and psychological torture and threats. He also claimed to have lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks. El Salvador's president shut down Abrego Garcia's claims immediately, and he wrote, "Apparently anything a criminal claims is accepted as truth by the mainstream media and the crumbling Western judiciary. The man wasn't tortured, nor did he lose weight. In fact, photos show he gained weight while in detention." He even released a surveillance video showing Abrego Garcia engaging in activities like fishing, gardening, playing chess, and being medically evaluated, portrayals that directly contested allegations of severe mistreatment. And the Trump administration still maintains he's not the Maryland father portrayed by the media and is an MS-13 gang member. The evidence they cite is based on a 2019 police gang field interview sheet from Prince George's County, Maryland, which labeled him as, quote, "an active member of MS-13's Western clique." These claims were based on informant and tattoos and clothes closely associated with the gang. They also point to a 2021 protective order filed by his wife, raising concerns about domestic violence. In the document, she alleged he had punched, scratched, and grabbed her, with some of the alleged abuse so severe she was left with bruises and bleeding. His wife was later on fighting for his deportation release and started a GoFundMe that's raised over $200,000. Originally, judges accepted the proof of his membership in MS-13, but later, judges then called the evidence thin, to say the least. So after previous legal battles, the U.S. found it difficult to deport him directly back to El Salvador due to the court orders and claims of credible fear of violence there. As for the choice of Uganda, Abrego Garcia declined an offer to be removed to Costa Rica in exchange for pleading guilty to the smuggling charges. And the country would have welcomed him as a legal immigrant, and he wouldn't have faced detention. The U.S. will sometimes use so-called third country deportation agreements with nations willing to accept deportees who don't have a clear return path to their home country. And Uganda reportedly agreed to take him. Abrego Garcia's legal team is actively working to challenge the detention and prevent his deportation. They argue that deportation to Uganda would expose him to potential persecution and torture, citing a U.S. State Department report that warns of arbitrary killings, forced disappearances, and ill treatment in Uganda detention facilities.